had to sit with a lady whose husband was one of the suspects in this case, and he was in jail. And I was sitting with the child and with the wife and with the parents, and how do you have a sane conversation?
Hello everyone and welcome to Brain Hydration Podcast. This is your host Trishla. On today's episode we had a very interesting person with us, Janvi. She is a journalist since 9 years and a book reviewer. This podcast is for all those people who are carving their way to become a journalist or are curious about journalism. Hope you enjoy the podcast and please do not forget to subscribe our channel on whatever platform you are listening. Hi Janvi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
I'm so glad to have you and have such good conversation with you.
Thank you so much. It's for the first time that I'm sitting on this side instead of asking questions. So I hope, I give you good answers.
Okay. So for the people who don't know you, please tell me something about you and your work.
Okay. That's a tough one to summarize a decade of work in just one sentence. But I've been a journalist for almost 10 years. And I have written on politics, I've written on education. I started features, I do book reviews, and I absolutely love what I do.
Okay. So do you want to highlight the time you graduated and the first time you got the payment for writing articles?
But it was not a very linear graph that, I graduated, that, I started working in media industry because I come from a very small town, a conservative family where my parents were not okay with me being in the media industry. I couldn't study journalism formally, and I ended up doing management. So I graduated I did BBA, graduated from that from Rajkot, and while I was graduating, I had a publication house just next to my college. Then I just went and said that, this looks like a newspaper and I want to work there. No formal degree, no idea of how to write an article, but I went there, took the first step, approach, and I ended up getting a job. So the first payment I got was 500 rupees for writing one article, which is great payment even when I see, today's standards.
Right.
The pay scales in journalism have fallen.
Really?
Yeah, that's another topic altogether. In the sense, the payment in this industry is very low. You can survive in this industry only if you're very, very passionate in what you do. Otherwise, you can't.
Right. What was the first article you wrote? Like, which one was the first where you got paid?
I started on writing on food, which local food of Rajkot, and there were also assignments where I was sent to interview people from the real estate industry from Rajkot.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about real estate industry and definitely not about India, which was like the authority there. But somehow the editors trusted me, they said to me, and it worked out. So I guess I started writing when I was 19, and I also started getting published when I was 19 without a formal education and without any background in media. Yeah.
Okay. Which article, according to you, is your best article in your 9 years of career? Okay. What was it about?
There are so many articles that you write, and sometimes the journey behind that article is very interesting. One of those articles was definitely the Dingocha case, which if you ask me to list down, top 3 articles that I wrote or top 3 stories that came to me, that this will be definitely one of the cases where 4 people, like a family of 4 people died on the Canadian border, and they went as illegal immigrants just for the drive, for this big American dream.
Yeah.
But it feels that if they did India, if they go and settle in US or Canada, they'd have a better life. And this family had a background of farming. They didn't have money. They come from a small place from Gujarat, which is Dingoja. And they end up dying. And it was a very moving moment for me when I met the father in Gujarat, and he said that we don't even have money to bring their dead bodies back to India.
Shit.
Now, this is the situation, and this is the story, and this is the person standing in front of you, and you don't know how to feel about it. You don't know that how are you going to put this experience for the readers out there. So yeah, there are certain stories which move you, and there are certain stories which also have a larger impact. This was one of them.
Okay. Can you tell me one dangerous interview where you were little afraid to go there and take an interview?
Um, this was not like a dangerous interview, but I'll tell you that over the years, I've written on art, culture, films, theatre, all of that. It's been around 3-4 years that I ventured into hardcore journalism, where I got to talk to politicians, or I got to interview people who are related to politics. And I think that phase of transitioning from interviewing an artist who is very pleasant and sometimes moody and mostly welcoming, when I say like singers and musicians and all of that, and then you have a politician in front of you, and you have to change the way you dress, and you have to change the way you present yourself, and you have to change the line of questioning you have. I think that was very intimidating. I wouldn't name one interview, but yeah, this whole journey of covering Gujarat election, which is a thing which is to be taken seriously. But what politicians are saying has to be, asked in a very proper way, where your line of questioning has to be on point, otherwise they'll not take you seriously. So to go through all of that was challenging, but yeah, it was a learning curve.
Right. Okay. And do you want to mention one article which took a turn towards success for you?
Well, it's never like one article. It's always a graph, and I have to say that it was never about this one article that will be like an overnight success, or you feel like you've accomplished something. Because in media, you're as good as your last article, and the sharing life of an article is sometimes so less. Than today, I'm writing for a newspaper, and it's still, I think, the next morning, or sometimes even less.
Yeah.
Now that I'm working with digital, the threshold is even less.
Yeah.
When I felt that, okay, I can make it in this industry, was when I could survive in it. Because in the first couple of years, you realize that this industry is very demanding. You don't have control over your time, you don't have control over your schedule, you don't have control over your financial aspirations, that, okay, I want to make this much. You go through a lot. It takes a lot from you, to survive in this industry and be true to your own voice, because though media is the fourth pillar of democracy, there is a lot of pressure on journalists to write something, to not write something. You get pressure from the editors, and sometimes also from for doing certain PRs or not writing certain things. So each day you walk on a tightrope, and to keep sane at the end of the day, if you do it, you feel successful.
Okay. You mentioned about PR, and I was going to say that we live in these times where I've heard a lot of people say that if I do PR, I'm going to get sales. If I do PR, I'll be famous. So, like, if I just do good PR, I can get sales, I can get fame, my brand can get recognition. I'm sure a lot of PR agency would be contacting you too. What is your take on this whole scenario?
Yeah. For a journalist, from the first day itself that you start, as a reporter, means you are going to get calls from the PR, and everyone wants to get something published about themselves. But then, again, you have to decide like what is blatant marketing, where people just want good things written about them, and they don't understand something like a media net, which most newspapers, which most publications have right now. Because look, we are not here to do charity, like a media house or publications are not here to do charity. There are salaries to be paid, And there is a revenue generation that takes place in a media organization. And so there is media net, where if you pay for certain things and you get written about. So that's a thing which everyone knows about. And most PR people just try to get away that I don't want to pay, but I wanted to write about me. And that's a tough catch. But for all those people, who are also watching this and who are looking for free publicity and free PR and all of that, I just say that when you get media limelight, please consider that it is a double-edged sword. Today, if media is writing good about you and you think, it's all rosy and pinky, tomorrow your leg slips and the same media is going to bash you. They're going to write negative things about you. And that's the part and parcel of limelight, which I think most people, especially business organizations, people who are hungry for more publicity, don't realize that they are writing good and they will write tomorrow and you falter. So just be prepared for that.
Okay. How do you think that role of empathy plays in the world of journalism, or are you an empathetic person? Do you think that comes in between while you are writing articles, while you are researching a case?
That was like a graph. So when I was, say, a 19, 20-year-old girl, and when I am sent to write about, say, when someone has died, or when there is something problematic, or there is an accident, whatever. So when you are a young person and you have not seen certain things, you definitely, in a moment of shock, you definitely like, oh, what just happened? And you have this moment of confusion and this moment of absorbing whatever is happening. So there's this one phase. And then you do it over the years and it becomes your job and becomes your work. Imagine a policeman doing his work, or imagine a doctor doing a surgery. Now you would ask whether, do you feel pain when you are cutting an arm? I mean, that's his job. That is what he's supposed to do. So today, when I go out and I see a problematic situation in which I have to write or cover, someone has died, or some politicians have said some insensitive thing, the first thing that I think as a professional is to write about it, to bring it to my audience, because that's my job. And that's what I get paid for. Whatever happens next happens after the article is out. Maybe there you sometimes, while sipping coffee, you think on what just happened, or you can just take in the moment and you realize that, okay, he said something which he shouldn't have said. Like I had that moment when there was this whole chaos going on in Ahmedabad city about veg and non-veg food, and there was one very senior politician said that non-veg should be banned and all the anda laris that you have in the city should be just shut. And even though I'm a vegetarian, just made me feel that, is it okay? Because Gujarat is a state which has the longest coastal line. We have so many vegetarians, and you gave the statement not as a layman, but as a politician saying that non-veg is bad. And it makes you think. It makes you question certain things, but then you just nail it with your own empathy and with your own stories or your own takes on whether he should have said, he should not have said. But primary job is to, he said something, and as a reader, you got to know that.
Yeah. So you don't easily label people. Do you think so? Because, it's very easy to label people, especially for people like us, laymen. Certain areas are not just black and white. Yeah. And especially when you are writing an article, you have to research about it without passing any judgments and give the best in that article, so that, when people read it, it's like they have all the information. How do you do all of this? Like not labeling it, not judging it, and then putting all of it on the article?
Well, humans come with their own biases. So irrespective of you say that you have to be objective and you just have to call a spade, sometimes you have your own experience, your own baggage, your own judgments which reflect in the article, whether you want it or whether you don't want it. So as long as journalists are human beings writing an article, there will obviously certain part of them be reflected in the article. But now there's the second thing, that how much freedom does a journalist in India have right now to bring the thought into the publication, into the article? But I have to say, not very much.
Really?
Not really. So it is usually said in our industry that giving a judgments or editorialize an article only and when you have 10 years of experience. Only then you say that is the Garatka or this is what they should not have said or this is what this means and all of that. But my training as a journalist was like to write what has happened, to state facts, because that's what most people don't have, facts. This is what this person is saying. This is what is happening. Now you take a call whether it was right, whether it was not right, whether this should have said, whether this should not have said. So our training as a journalist is always to write what is happening. And it's second thing, when you reach a certain stage, then you try to editorialize things and, bring your own stories and your judgments to the articles.
Right. Do you think it's sometimes hard to communicate with certain people, like when you're taking an interview or when you want to write an article about someone? Do you think sometimes it's hard for you to communicate or to connect with that person?
There are so many times when it is hard to communicate with the other person. First, when we are writing critical articles, say suppose you are a businessman, or suppose you are a celebrity, or suppose you are a painter, and I'm going to write a critical article against something that you've done, and I have proof of it, and I have done my research, and then I'm here to confront you, to ask you, what do you have to say on this? Now, I might be saying in the most polite manner, but it might put the other person in a very tight situation where they either don't want you to answer that question, or either they want you to not publish that article, or either they will put undue pressure on you so that you're not able to publish that article, or sometimes they would just call the editor and say that this article should not be published. So, so there are a lot of times when you're not able to do your job.
And you put so much hard work in that article sometimes.
Totally. So that's a slang in our field that in most fields, like if you're a good doctor, you get paid for it. If you are a good painter, you might get like good payment for that. But if you're a good journalist, you might lose your job.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
You might have to start a YouTube channel. And if you look around, there's so many good journalists.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I saw this Fayed D'Souza, yes. She started her own Instagram and she started putting out articles and her take on that article.
Imagine if she was an editor at some point.
Yeah, she actually mentioned it in one of her Instagram posts that, she wanted to do this so that she can be true to her articles. Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah.
There are also other times when asking a question is difficult. Say someone from your family has died, or there is an accident, like say where this Morbi bridge collapse took place. I was in Morbi after a couple of months of this incident, and I had to sit with a lady whose husband was one of the suspects in this case, and he was in jail. And I was sitting with the child and with the wife and with the parents, and how do you have a sane conversation, with the wife, because her husband was not the main person who had done something wrong, but he was accused in this case because there were powerful people of Oreva company or of, the company, and that's why the poor husband became a culprit of the situation. Now, I know the side of reality, you know the side of reality, but the reality you see out there, or the reality which is written on newspaper, is very different. Now, how do you have a conversation? How do you empathize with the other person? What do you say? How can you help? Because the other person is expecting some sort of help. Media, because you are a journalist, sometimes things are in your capacity, sometimes things are not, because it is organized crime. So many people are in it together. There is government, there is corporates, and there is media, and it's a bigger circle than you think. So these are very difficult conversations. I remember having a cold drink at their house, And I couldn't take that sit down because I knew for sure that this lady is being very kind to me, but there's not much in which I will be able to help her.
Yeah. How do you, like put yourself to sleep? Because sometimes some cases are so stressful, and I'm sure it would be affecting your mental health sometimes. Like, what do you do to, come back home and, just keep those issues out of the door from your home?
You can never really, cut off when you are when you're working in the media industry. You can never like, okay, I will not consume news, or okay, I will not consume something happening in this case, because it's practically not possible if you are very serious about your job. Even though you're working on the story, you're not working on the story. It's very difficult to cut off from whatever is happening, because you just never know when the next thing is coming. You just never know when someone died, or you just never know when someone said something they should not be saying. So it's difficult to cut off. But yeah, for cutting off, you obviously have your own circle of friends who are not from media industry, or you're talking about something which is way lighter than what you are writing on. And yeah, there are also moments when, say, I'm in my circle of friends and they're talking about an issue on which I have done the interviews, on which I have written the news. But I would let them pass their expert comments and keep quiet and just sitting and laughing on, because I know the other side of the story on what actually happened on ground. But that's not what I would want to discuss when I'm with my friends.
Right. Do you think that a mind of journalist is little different from the people from other professions?
You have to be able to crack.
What do you mean by that?
Really has to be something different. One thing is that you got to be very curious about everything. If you're not curious and asking questions doesn't come naturally to you, you can't survive in this industry. If you can't go in a room where none of them know you, and you can't say that, hey, I am Janvi Sonaiya. You can't do this. It's very difficult for you to survive in this industry, irrespective of which degree you have, irrespective of where you went to college, irrespective of how much money you have. It's your inquisitiveness, it's your curiosity, which makes you thrive in this industry. And also, hell a lot of patience. Hell a lot of patience, because not everyone is out there to... Not everyone will give you a red carpet, ki aao just pucho and write about me. That's not going to happen. There are so many times when, just when they hear that you are from media, you will not get a welcome. Or just when they know that, okay, you are a journalist, they'll treat you as if you don't exist.
Right.
Because either they're very scared of talking to a journalist, or they're very scared of the word media, or they just know what media can do. They just know how they can make someone's career, wreck someone's career. So, I mean, it's a very different...
I think I understand this because now that I'm also doing content creation, when I approach people, certain people just don't want to be in front of the camera. And also, I also need to reach at a certain level to ask certain people. Otherwise, people don't take you seriously. So as you say that when you walk into that room, you have to be confident. You have to have that audacity of asking them and that confidence. So yeah, I also connect with this right now because I'm also asking everyone to be, not everyone, sorry, but a lot of people who I want to be on the podcast. Okay, so I wanted to talk about feminism because I think we had discussed this before our podcast that you believe into it. Do you want to explain the term feminism? Because a lot of people think that they know what is the meaning of it, but are not completely right.
True. Look, even for all the people watching you or listening, if you don't know the meaning of the word feminism, it's completely fine. There's nothing in the definition. It's all about that any girl, any woman should not be taken away from basic human rights. And which is my right to wear either a sari or a bikini, what the kind of food I want to eat, veg, non-veg, whatever, who I want to meet, the kind of work I would want to do. my choice to be a housewife, my choice to be a career woman, and you should have equal opportunities to do any of them.
Yeah.
And do it with pride. So I think still the questions are very basic. What you have to eat, what you have to wear, what you have to do, who you have to meet. I think that women are still struggling for all the basic things. And these are not even women rights, these are human rights. Any human being out there gets this right to choose the kind of clothes they want to wear. They have the right to choose the kind of education they should get. And I think we're still struggling for all of that. And I think that's the worst thing.
You are also a book reviewer and you love reading books. Do you want to suggest me any books which explores the realms of feminism?
Okay. Well, I have to say that I'm raised by books, and it is very important to look at the other side, to be more empathetic, and I think that books have helped me do all of that. When it comes to feminism, Three Women is one book which anyone should read. It explores the sexual life of three women from different parts of the country, as written by a journalist, and it is non-fictions. So it really are real stories, real women, just looking for love, just looking for sex, just looking for fun, which many people might have a problem with. But this book definitely it's considered one of the best.
What do you like about that book? This
I think the idea of liberation, the idea of saying that whether it's sex or whether it's liberation and whether it's owning your sexuality, there's nothing wrong in it. And we're not here just for reproduction. We are here even for having fun. And I think that whenever women say what is right, whenever women really open up about their lives, it becomes a bold content. And I think that there's really something wrong. Say three friends here, that we imagine them as main friends talking about their sexuality. Suddenly it becomes very common thing. Okay, हाँ लड़के हैं बातें करेंगे all of that. But you do the same story and you think of three women, and suddenly it becomes a very more content. Oh my God, what did she write? Oh my God, what did she just
labeled as bold?
Yeah, it's labeled as bold. And it's the same with this book. I mean, here it's just about three women, one a housewife, talking about that, okay, my husband doesn't touches me, and I want him to touch me. And just the thing that, okay, I want this. That's so liberating. That's so powerful, and I absolutely like it. In fact, I absolutely like when women ask for more, whether in boardroom or in bedroom. They're just asking that, okay, I want more money.
I love that statement.
Okay, I want more. I want a better position. Or, okay, I want more screen time. Just asking for more. I think that our whole fight is about being in the role and saying that, okay, I deserve more. Okay, I've studied more. And okay, I will get what I want.
So we were talking about feminism, and do you see that inequality even in your field of journalism? Do you face that?
It's irrespective of which field we are in. I think I see the disparity everywhere. Be it medical or be it education field or be it media, is no different.
But would you like to highlight any points like which you see in journalism or which you face specially?
Sometimes the question is all about like, are you getting equal pay or are you considered for a promotion just because you fall into a certain gender? These are the things. Otherwise, my experience, or it can be just my own personal understanding of the whole thing, but I have found this industry very safe for women. Yeah, safe, absolutely. Like when it
That
comes
is something new for me to learn.
At least women have an entrance point. At least women get an opportunity. Like when I got my first formal job and I was in a DNA newspaper, there were so many women. I have worked under women editors, fortunately, I think in 2 of the companies. And I think that women have at least got a breakthrough in this industry. They are doing good on camera, off camera, leading the team, working towards creating a better newsroom. So I think there is a lot of scope, and I think all the young girls who would want to pursue media industry or give a shot in this industry, I think that it's very safe that way.
Do you want to give them any suggestions, or do you want to give like any two advices for the people who have just graduated and are carving their way towards becoming a journalist?
So many people come into this industry for all the glamour that it has. It is like going to films or Bollywood. They see this whole charm of, okay, you will be before the camera, or okay, you will do all this makeup and interview people, or okay, they feel I will get to meet celebrities. When I was getting into this industry, I also felt like, oh my God, there is so much of charm and there is so much of glamour in this industry. I was taken in awe like any other girl or like any other person who is looking at this industry as a third person. But it is not so. It is absolutely not so that every day you get to meet celebrities, or day you get to meet the police guys, or every day you get to be before the camera all decked up in your makeup and your pantsuits. The real life in media is very different. It's very challenging. It's very demanding. You got to be really passionate to work on field, irrespective of the weather, irrespective of your control over your time. And you got to really read and research and talk to people and understand what's going on to give that message or to give that information to public at large. So these are the things one needs to have a very clear idea of before you even think of getting into this industry.
I've seen that a lot of marketing agency, advertising agency have come up, and everyone, like a small brand or a big organization, everyone is working with a marketing and advertising agency. We live in this era where everyone wants to put themselves out on the social media, as I said before, with PR and of course with advertising. How do you keep the authenticity in your article?
For all those people who are not from the industry, let me be very clear that it's not most of the times in our hand to, okay, that company wants their publicity. Okay, let me write about their company. Or okay, this person wants publicity. Let me write about that. There's certain editorial rules that a journalist who is taking her or his career seriously would understand, that there is a clear distinction in the editorial team between what is PR, what is marketing, and what is news. And when you blur the lines between the two, either that's an editorial decision, either the company is getting paid, or either everyone is on the clear page. Otherwise, it's very easy to distinct that, okay, this feels like a paid article, or okay, this feels like someone paid you to write this. So the lines are very clear for all those people who are working in this industry,
who are especially serious in their profession as a journalist.
So I know when someone is trying to sell me a story. I know when someone is trying to push me in their PR when they don't deserve it. So yeah, we have that eye to catch it.
Okay, you said you have been a journalist for 9 years or 10 years.
Yeah.
How do you think that you have evolved as a journalist, and how has that, like, journalism changed you as a person in this 9 years?
I think whatever I am today, and whatever my understanding of this world is due to media. If I were doing any other job, whether I was a pilot or a politician or whatever, I think that being a journalist gives you a broader understanding which other professions do not give you, and I'll explain you why. That on one day you get an opportunity to sit with a farmer and understand how the crops have fallen bad because of bad weather, and on the next day you are either sitting with someone who is a politician, or you are sitting with someone who is a professor, or you are sitting with a film star and trying to understand their side of the story. So you won't get all those experience, and I wouldn't get an opportunity to have tea with all those people if I were not a journalist. I'm not getting a chance to sit with them and learn about the story if I'm not from this industry.
And you are very passionate about having conversations and knowing the backstories.
True. So that is like the first thing. If you're not passionate about knowing their side of the story, if you're not a good listener, if you're not good with asking questions, सवाल ही नहीं that you can survive in this industry for more than a year, because after a year you understand the reality, you understand the facade and everything else related to this industry. So yeah, definitely passion keeps you going, but most importantly, how I evolved as a person was in my understanding of this world, in also my understanding of people, their motives, what they can do for coming closer to media, and also what their problems and aspirations are. Look, you're being dressed up in our best clothes, sitting together and having a conversation. We do not understand the story of 80% of India, which struggles either for food or which struggles for good housing, which just wants good education, which wants good roads, which wants good metros. This is what 80% of India is all about. It is not about like all those polished people sitting in their cars and talking about global warming. So I got to understand that 80% of India and also come closer to what the 20% of people, and especially policymakers in government offices, discuss. What are their issues and what are the issues of the rest 80%. I think I could gauge and sit with these strata of people to broaden my own understanding of what this world or what this country is all about.
Right. Well, it was wonderful having conversation with you and getting interesting answers from you. Thank you so much for coming to my podcast.
It was a pleasure talking to you, and also for your interesting and well-researched questions on what exactly I do and what I don't do. It was my pleasure completely.
Yeah. Okay.